Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for tonight's video. Let's talk about the narcissist, so let's jump in. So the narcissist will do everything to sabotage you. Someone who is a blessing in your life is going to be somebody who helps propel you, backs you up, somebody who's a cheerleader for the good things that you're doing, the righteous things. And the things that are not upright that you're doing, they're going to sharpen you up. They're going to be there as a warning. They're going to be there to help you to see, or to mirror back to you as a witness. It's not a good idea, whatever you're doing that's not upright. And that's how two individuals that come together to form a relationship, a bond, would be able to keep each other in check and to work together as a team. It says in the word, you are the mirror image of the company you keep, or the friendships, the relationships, your love partner. And you have to add into that family, relatives, and anybody of influence, anybody that you spend your personal time with. Now, your professional time is another story. Sometimes you are forced to spend time with people in your profession. There can be a limit to that. You do have that opportunity. You get to make those choices, because that can be very sloppy, or it can be very savvy on how you wield that. What goes in your mouth and what you hear and what you see and what you think about is going to be what comes out. Garbage in, garbage out kind of scenario is very true. Kind of want to be on guard about what you see, what you watch, what you hear, and what you think about as well, and what you say, because life and death are in the power of the tongue, it says in the word. These are also boundaries. When we talk about boundaries, these are boundaries to keep dark energy, evil away from you. If you have boundaries that are set into place, such as you're going to be aware and be in control of what you say and what you think, and not be sloppy with it, but you're going to be savvy with it. You're going to make sure everything you say matters, and it's not going to be toxic. What you think and what you listen to, what you hear, what you put on TV, what you think about, what you spend your time doing, and who you do it with, the company you keep, are going to be that mirror image. So those are boundaries, because things will be able to come in either spiritually and affect you, have influence on you, or spiritual entities can attach to you, and they attach to people in and around their aura before they ever get inside. And when you're in amongst friends, relatives, and counterparts, they have influence on you, and they're going to be more at your more inner circle. They're going to have more influence, greater influence, because they are going to be more of people you either tend to look up to, or you tend to have fun with, or something that's going to draw you to them. So you can have unhealthy attachments with people and healthy ones, and you have to choose to cut those individuals out of your life, or to just be cordial with them. Keep them at a distance if they're people like relatives or people that you rub shoulders with at work, because you have to. And these are boundaries, as well as loving yourself and being assertive about what you're going to let in and what your worth is. What your worth is kind of what coincides with loving yourself and knowing who you are, and who you are in Christ, and who you are in your sovereignty with the heavens. That's why I always say, don't be a citizen and don't be living by the maritime rule, but live by your sovereignty in the greater heavens, because when you live by your creator's laws, they're going to supersede anything in this physicality. So it's going to be at a higher standard. And when you look and take your sovereignship from there, you're not relinquishing it to man and to the council of the world and to the rulerships of the world, because they're already corrupt and they're already limited and finite. But in the heavenlies, they are not, because that's where you were born from. You were produced and born and created by God first in the spirit, before you were ever an inkling in the thought of your mother and father to come here. Loving yourself and having good boundaries, don't interact with toxic individuals. And if you must, you do it with as little information as possible. Don't deal with flying monkeys. Don't get caught up in any kind of aggressive behavior and any kind of behavior that's going to make waves, really. If you can get by without having to deal with behavior more interactive with people like that, don't feed into the triangulation after the narcissist leaves. Bicker with them about how they're backbiting you and smearing your name in the background, because it's not going to do you any good, and you're going to be feeding that vampire, and that's going to give them energy. It's going to suck from you, and it's going to transmute into energy for them, which is not good. That's not good transmuting of energy. That's not being frugal with your energy. The more conversation or interaction you have with a narcissist, people have sabotage. They're going to sabotage everything in your life. They're going to degrade it, and any information they get, they're going to invert it, talk bad about anything good in your life, and anything bad in your life, they're going to promote it. They're going to create stories and fabrications as well. If there has been a long period of time since y'all have talked or spoken and you've kept quiet, you have rerouted some things in your life and made some changes, they don't really know your life. And that's the best place you can be with a narcissist, because all they can do is try to guess or stalk you or something. Because the narcissists, they're fixed, they don't change, but they're very good liars. And you have to keep in mind spelling. They will do things, incantations, they will do things in the night, in the moonlight, to draw down different energies. And I know you probably don't think the narcissist is some sort of witchcraft practitioner, but you don't know. Nevertheless, anything they do is going to be along those lines, because they have sacrificed the true self. Everything they encapsulate is going to be somewhere in a state of danger for you, because it's going to be false. And people of that nature are not people you want to keep around when you're building an empire, when you're expanding, when you're creating, when you're trying to cultivate new ideas and new thoughts, because they will try to steal them out from under you, or make erroneous accusations and claims that pertains to your situation. And depending on what kind of legal power they have, they can create a big old mess. And a lot of times they get started before you do, because they're cultivating this mess behind your back. So if they're in some sort of a legal counsel, such as a lawyer, a judge, or an official that works in a system of government or a system of law, a narcissist will cultivate whatever accusations and claims, and they will doctor up any kind of paperwork and scenarios and pre-plan it and have it in motion behind your back. Just like when they run a smear campaign on you. When they run a smear campaign on you, you don't know about it right away. You know about it if you're in tune with your intuition, your inside voice, if you can read people's thoughts to some degree, or if you are somewhat of a seer of people around you, how they act, operate, and their mannerisms will tell a lot. And those are things that kind of start to give you inklings that the narcissist, as toxic as they are, have been doing damage behind your back to smear your name. This is for maybe an unawoke empath that's waking up. But after you wake up, you know, after several months and a year, a couple years gone by, you're going to know just from your studies on narcissism and the malignancy of it, and you're going to talk to people around you. They're going to tell you some erroneous things that they said you were, accusations, and how your accomplishments came from them. The same thing is going to happen in the rule or rulership of law, or in a justice department. It's going to be the same motivations. It's just going to be at another level. It's going to be at a level to where now they might want to incarcerate you falsely, or claim you might have did something to somebody falsely and you have no idea. Or you could have cases being built in the background and you have no idea. So it's something to keep in mind, because just as the smear campaign happens way before you find out about it, so will things like this sometimes if you allow these people around you. And even in the case of me, I haven't talked to these individuals, or this individual, just one person. One toxic person can do all of this. And that's what happened in my case. It just happened to be that they were someone of a fluency, and they also had a father in the federal government. And through that and other individuals and organizations they were involved with, they were able to get a hold of judges and lawyers, and through manipulation with like intercourse and things, having third-party relationships with these types of individuals, they were able to bribe them and extort them and have video footage of them while they were doing these things in compromising positions, and then extort them for their greater use, which was a complete falsehood, a sham. And by the time you find out, it might be you getting accused of something that they are sure you did. And if they know enough people, they will even pay flying monkeys to do their bidding, which is to make false accusations or false claims about you as well. So then they'll have false witnesses. The only thing that can get you out of this is truth and your clout, meaning what you have worked on as your character, what's built you into your character. If they look at your past, they will find you were never a harm to anybody and you never had any kind of record. So what makes you think that all of a sudden my record went from 0 to 180 miles an hour into mayhem and destruction? They usually will get caught because God always has the truth come out. But I'm just giving you some motivations to stay away from these individuals, because this is what happens. Just like a smear campaign will come out years later, and you'll find out how much they've wrecked your character and assassinated it. Well, the same thing can happen in the court of law without you knowing. By the time it gets caught up with you and you get awareness of it, these individuals will have a case a mile long of things that you have done, and it can blow your mind and it can be overwhelming how you're going to deal with it. The narcissist likes to take a little idiosyncrasy that you might have had. They can do the most heinous crimes, right? And because you're an empath, you don't accuse them of anything, you just try to keep the peace. So you just want to get away from them, stay away from them. But when they do things like this, you're forced to have to come out and defend yourself, or else you're going to be locked behind a prison cell. They are the type of people that they will have these heinous crimes that they have committed, but the one day that you don't sharpen your pencil before you come to work or something, it's almost as if you unalive somebody. And this is my point. They are such the accuser of the brethren, and working with the dark energy that's inside of them, they are the greatest liars, manipulators. It's on another level, and they will double down on it, and they don't feel love. So they look legitimately, if they're wearing good fuel, they look like they're legit. And this is why they are so dangerous. The other reason you want to stay away from a narcissist is because if you're not keen to it, and if you were a person totally in your flesh, for instance, or you allow these things to happen, they like to implant jealousy inside you when they leave you. And they want you to actually get into physical altercations as the third party, or into a triangulation. They're always forming triangulations. Triangulations causes domestic violence all the time, disputes and violence, and people end up getting unalived because of things that were said and things that weren't even true. And this is what the narcissist does that's so dangerous. And because they might have thought up this whole scenario, but because they weren't in the physical altercation that led to somebody's demise or to the physical harm, they either walk away with a slap on the wrist, they can claim insanity, or they walk away with a short term. And of course, if you did something like that, for instance, which I don't expect you to, but these are things that run through a person's mind when you're somebody who's trying to seek truth and justice, and you don't want to get yourself anywhere close to things like that. You know, certain things are dangerous when you're with a narcissist. That's a dangerous way of living, and you want nothing to do with it. And that's the main reason, one of the main reasons why I left the narcissist, because I knew if I kept messing around with this individual, this is a dangerous way to live. I didn't know this individual was breaking laws and things, or else I would have ended that just like as quick as possible. But I found out those things later, and I think this individual got more toxic because I think I was the first person to ever say no to her, or the first person she couldn't spellbound completely and keep in her midst as her enslaved property. and she had a hard time with that. And because she had money, she was able to pay people off, and her father would pay her a monthly, all the siblings, they would all get a monthly paycheck or something. And so they have money to throw at things. And then because they were working with thieves and a coven, it became all that much more dangerous. Anyway, these are things that you want to be aware of, because a narcissist is just not a regular person in humanity. Whether you want to say they have spiritual issues or not is up to you. But at the end of the day, you know they have psychological issues, and they're almost always left unchecked. They're always left unchecked unless one of two things happen. They either have a complete narcissistic collapse and they have to go see a psychiatrist or psychologist, or they get caught up with the law. Those are the only two things that typically diagnose a narcissist as being one. It's not even really a psychological disorder. I think it's labeled as a personality disorder. And if I'm correct, it was almost taken out of the DSM-5 in the mid to late 90s because it didn't have merit, was the accusation. The thing is, with the narcissist, I could see to some degree how people have a hard time understanding it, because it's very, what they call, insidious. It's hard to pinpoint, especially if there was never a foundation for defining narcissism, because it's so slow moving, it's sadistic, it's insidious, meaning it's slow moving, and it hits every foundation of your life, and it runs off everything. It's a malignancy. It runs off sadism, and it runs it's lofty until you can narrow it down and define it for what it is. So anyway, a little bit about the narcissist and why you want to stay away from them, because the vibration they're on is a very, very low vibration, and that's where you find all criminals and addicts. And everybody on that vibration is wearing a false mask, and they're liars and manipulators and cheaters. They're extortionists. So when you get on that vibration, that's what you will attract to you. And these people in these covens, they kind of live off this law of attraction thing. They are big on all these different laws and rules that you see in occult thinking, where they've taken a lot of Christianity and kind of dabbled with mixing it up and flipping it on its head to some degree, just to use, kind of like how paganism was mixed with Christianity to water it down. It's also the same thing, but it's mixed with witchcraft as well to water it down and to try to use its power in another way by manipulating. But God knows about this, and he has his firm boundaries as well, because he created every boundary here, and he is the controller of all things. So he put the rules into the foundations of this world. So at the end of the day, you have nothing to worry about if you're doing the right thing, but there's a lot of tests that come with this. The Lord will test you a lot, and it could bring a lot of hardship. You could feel all alone, and you could feel like you can't make it. So you got to do moment to moment, day by day, moment to moment, and the enemy cannot take advantage of you if you handle yourself in that fashion, because you can always do the next moment. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Soldier. Peace be out.